Well, it finally happened. I honestly never thought that this would get this far, but I also never thought I'd be making money at this either, and it's been just milestone after milestone. So this year we hit 100,000 subscribers, and we're also going to be hitting my 10th year on YouTube later this year. I think sometime around like September or something. And so I figured, hey, we should celebrate. And which one am I celebrating? Yes, both, one, other, yes. There's no, but I was thinking back to how both these channels started, and both of them did something slightly different first, and then immediately pivoted to something else, which is that Sad Games back in 2011 started with some Xbox Live Indie games, which it stuck with for years, but after a few episodes of that at the beginning, we then started trying to do a playthrough on Dark Souls, which was disastrous at the time. And then, like 2 years later, I started uploading to my personal channel, and that's this one. And I got a few episodes into Outlast, which I would eventually finish too, but then immediately started Demon Souls. So like most closely tied to the starting points of either channel. Either if you go by this channel's origins or my 10 years ago Let's Play origins, it's always tied to the Souls franchise. And so I figured a good way to sort of celebrate this dual milestone would be to go and do a Dark Soulsborne Revisited series where I replay all 5 games, maybe in modified ways if possible. It kind of varies on a case-by-case basis, but that seemed like a decent thing to do. Also because, God, I've made like, what, 1,000 Dark Souls videos, or Soulsborne videos or whatever at this point, and it's been like the binding force on the channel or whatever for all these years. And because the franchise is kind of over, it's been like years since I've covered anything in that series. I just haven't had the same reasons to, and I kept meaning to go back and do different versions of them and so on, or like modded playthroughs or something like that, and just never quite got to it. And I feel like this is a good excuse to do that. So first of all, I'm going to be playing Demon Souls, the remake, finally. Yes, I got a PS5 at long last. I don't want to talk about it. And then Dark Souls, I thought about just replaying the whole series just normally, but I feel like the Demon Souls sort of sets the tone of doing a modified run, and I feel like I still haven't played any of the modded playthroughs I could be doing, and I kind of want to do that. So I think I'm going to do one of the different campaigns that people have made over the years for Dark Souls 1. Checking my notes, I have notes about there being a Cinders campaign, a Daughters of Ash campaign, and a Prepare to Die Again campaign. And I think there might be another one that came out that people like a lot too, so I'll have to figure out which one of those to cover in a poll or something. And then Dark Souls 2 and 3 I'm way less knowledgeable about of what my options even will be. And finally go back to Bloodborne for the first time in like 6 years, I think. Like I did a full playthrough of the main game and its DLC, and I did a new game plus playthrough that just kind of ended one day that didn't really finish, partly because it was it was trapped in trying to go through the Chalice dungeons forever, and it just kind of like ran out of steam at some point. I never went back to it, I guess. Whoops. A long time ago, I also tweeted about the idea of doing like a The Witness 2 years later playthrough. Well, now it's like 5 years later, so whoops. But I think I'm going to go back and play The Witness again for the first time since it first came out. It probably won't be a completionist playthrough this time around because re-hunting every single secret along the way, although it will be a bit much, although picking up the ones that I notice along the way just for the sake of it will be fun. I don't know if, will I do the challenge? I don't know. I'll at least beat the game. And do a bunch of the extra stuff along the way, but it would just be nice to revisit The Witness because it was one of the games that specifically led to the current momentum of like playing puzzle games on this channel, and like that a lot of the support for this channel where it did really well in 2016 was because of The Witness specifically, and it's still, you can still see that audience there because of me playing games like Lock and having it like do massively better than any of the surrounding content. Like there's still like people want that kind of stuff, and it's It does make me think a little bit like when I'm picking puzzle games, should I try to find ones that are aesthetically similar to The Witness? Because the lock wasn't massively the same, but it drew people in from the get-go. Like, people clicked on part one in a way they don't click on part one of other puzzle games quite as much, so I'm curious about that. But that's the side. That's a topic for another day. Next up, this will be probably the most exciting part for a bunch of people. At long last, I'm going to play the single most requested playthrough in the history of this channel, Zero Time Dilemma. This came as a bit of a surprise, but probably like 6 months ago or something, Andrew kind of out of the blue said that he would play it if I hit 100k. And so that's happening. We're finally playing the third Zeroscape game. So if you want to get caught up on this train wreck, you can go back and watch like the 150 episodes of us playing 999 and Zeroscape Virtue's Last Reward, which are all that's all findable on the channel. And we're gonna finally go back and play Zero Time Dilemma, the finale of the trilogy of Zeroscape games. I'm gonna go review the plot of the first two games so that I'm like caught up and so on, both on the things that are just the facts of what happened and also the things that are just frustrating. God, it's still a raw nerve. It really is. Like, if people listen to the podcast know that like sometimes we just go on a rant about this franchise, just something just prompts it, and then it's just like everything starts coming back to you. You're like, oh God, why do I have to remember that? No. Zeroscape basically led to Andrew quitting Let's Playing for like a year or two. It was a while. Like, he just completely stopped doing anything on YouTube. He only uploaded the first 2 episodes of that series. Like, he recorded the whole thing with me and I put it up on my channel, but he just like quit after that. He was like, he hated that game. What a nightmare. So let's go back once and for all and hope Andrew survives. I'm never at risk of like quitting over a game. When I think a game is awful, like it fuels me. I have a great time with that. There's no downsides, really. I can love a game or hate a game, and those are both fantastic things to experience. It's really the boring games that where I just want to leave. The Ghost of Tsushima's, where I'm just like, I don't want to be here anymore. It's so long, and it's not interesting or bad enough to be interesting. Stop existing, please. No, I'm sorry. I'm not like asking people to not get things that they like, but I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. So look forward to that. That'll the Dark Demon Souls and Zero Time Dilemma should be coming up, if according to plans. When Yakuza ends, I'm gonna go wrap up the updated content for Monster Hunter Rise, hopefully quickly. Although it'll be a lot of free time being burned on my end because I have to do a bunch of grinding between each episode to unlock the next new thing and so on. But then we'll be playing Demon Souls on the PS5. And I know my PS5 works, which is good because that's actually where I played my second session of Dreams, Lock on Dreams. The first half of Lock was played on PS4, and the second half of Lock was played on a PS5. It was actually my first PS5 game. And thankfully you could just download Dreams and even transfer your save between platforms, and everything was fine. I'm like, that's cool. That's convenient. And so that was how I tested out the console. Happy to report that at least so far, it doesn't sound like a fucking jet engine for every second of you using the console. So sure, I'm not going to miss the PS4 at all as somebody who records audio, and it just has this high-pitched whirring noise at every second of every day that gets picked up on the microphone. So fucking rest in ashes, you piece of trash. I'm sorry. It's fine. It's been my favorite console for like the last God, that's like a 7-year-old console now. Sorry, I'm just associating with the fact that like 1 year into doing my this channel, the new channel, it was around the time I started doing Bound by Flame and Transistor in 2014, which was a long time ago. Yeah. Part of what... So, here we get a little serious here, but I could tell via the projections that I was going to hit 100k a couple days ago, and I considered streaming it. And what I found is that the pressure of the situation was affecting my sleep just like being a vaguely stressful thing, even though nothing bad is happening technically. And like when I worked up the idea of streaming the actual thing, I kept hating the idea. I was like, should I play like Minecraft or like Portal, like something kind of mindless, because I've played Portal 1 so much that I could just like hang out and just answer like Q&A while playing and so on. But like the idea of performatively expressing my feelings about hitting the milestone live mostly just stressed me out, and I didn't want to deal with it. And I've also been procrastinating making this video for like 2 or 3 hours, because it's just like, it's a weird thing to face, the fact that it's been like 10 years and it's 100K and like all these other big things. They're like, it's weird, but humans process these things as not exclusively positive feelings, but also like a mix of like negative and also and so on and blah blah blah. So that's been a trip. But we're here. One thing that I'm quite happy with is that I got my first video essay done just like right under the wire before I hit 100K, which kind of colors the whole thing in a certain way. Like I put like weeks of work into this thing, and like wrote one of the longest things I've ever written probably, and like revised it and put myself into it in a number of ways, and it just was this big experience that was cool to finally do for once. And it was received really well, which really caught me off guard and gave me a bunch of complicated emotions, because I just was not actually ready for like near universal acclaim from the people that saw it, and just torrents and torrents of comments that seemed really happy with it, and people talking about how it like had them, it like gave them like a new respect for the movie itself, and were impressed by all these things that were being shared here, and like these sort of moments where you see like commenters that you've seen for years and years and years and years and years in the audience being like happy to see this like arc and all that. And it's like, it was a really good experience, and I was happy that happened. I definitely look forward to trying to get more of these done in the future. It's kind of become like the thing that's driving me and like determining what I do in a given day. It's like when you have a job or you're going to school and you have like weekend plans that you're trying to get to and so on, where it's like my normal Let's Play schedule has become like this thing front loaded each week that I try to like see how well I can organize my time and so on to like get it done for a given week, and like hit my weekly milestone. I mean my weekly quota, and then I'm like, okay, I have this many days that I can put towards like developing scripts or going through the media that I want to look at next, and so on and so forth, and eventually editing and recording and stuff like that. And it's kind of like what keeps me going right now. And it's also been a cool way of like kind of salving the milestone a bit, because instead of having this feeling that I'm stuck in a rut because I'm doing like the one thing I've been doing every day for years and years, and this one specific form of thing is dominating my whole life, there's this new thing now on the side that could become even like just as important and big as the original thing. But it's creatively fulfilling, and it's also like it's a separate variety where instead of like live performing, I'm doing this other thing where I'm trying to like make a point and look at something differently and trying to present something that would hopefully be enriching to the people watching it and so on. It's a cool experience, and I'm happy to have this in my life as an alternative and a side thing, and maybe less of a side thing in the future. We'll see how it goes. Next up, we've got some changes coming to the channel, which is primarily the form of like kind of reshuffling the schedule and trying to make it more manageable, more user-friendly, and more algorithm-friendly, maybe. It's kind of chasing your own tail and making stuff up sometimes, so who the fuck knows what even works anymore. But even ignoring the algorithm itself, but I think one thing is that like just each video getting more focus on it each day and uploading fewer videos per day, so it's not a huge deluge. I think that is probably better for the algorithm, because then you guys get focused on whatever videos are up that day, and you click those ones, and it becomes more manageable in that way. But even ignoring the algorithm altogether, I think one of the most common complaints, besides just complaints about me as a person, but that's not going anywhere, the most common complaint about the channel is probably the actual volume of videos. Like, a number of people don't subscribe to the channel, but instead bookmark it and just check it every now and then, because it's just such a problem that I upload like up to 5 videos a day, and it was larger in the past. Like it's been just a storm and a mess and so on in the past. So here's the new upload schedule, which I'm already putting in place. I was going to be more like soft and tentative about this originally, but I'm pretty committed, I think, and we're going to see how it goes. I've literally ordered I've ordered custom whiteboards that should come in that will allow me to keep track of this, so I can keep track of what I need to work on at a given time for the schedule, because it's complicated. So like that's the level of commitment we're at this point. Is I've created custom whiteboards, or I've created a design for them, and those are going to become. Oh yeah, I have it like right here, where I've like set it up like a version for how I can check mark like how many videos I have done, so I can keep track of what to work on next and so on. So I think we're pretty committed at this point. But it's relatively easy to read, not necessarily easy to remember. If you don't care about granular stuff, then ultimately it just amounts to the videos are going to keep coming up. They're just not going to come up in exactly the same way as before. And if you're the type of person that just like hops on YouTube and just sees what has been delivered to you that day and isn't like waiting with bated breath for a specific video every day, then you probably won't even really notice the change that much. But if you're the type of person that's like, where's this video today? And you're like popping into my streams to ask where a video is, which is kind of rude, honestly. Or like you're like, you need to know exactly when it's going to go up. Then there will be, as usual, infographics. If you haven't seen them before, there's a social tab on my YouTube account where I can post stuff like a blog, kind of. It's like, it gets shown on the homepage sometimes on mobile and is less commonly seen on desktop, but you can go there by manually checking that tab on my account if you want to on desktop. Alternatively, I usually tweet it. It was my pinned tweet, but now my pinned tweet is my video essay, and I don't think that's going to change. I don't know. But ultimately, there is a schedule that's going to be available somewhere. I guess the most consistent way to find it would probably be my social tab on my profile, but it'll be like this, and that'll be how you can try to keep track of it. Otherwise, you can just kind of let it happen. But to explain what you're looking at here, I've crunched the schedule down. I've removed the weekend days of Sunday and Wednesday where the normal schedule is not uploaded and it's just multiplayer videos. We're going back to the old structure where the normal schedule happens each day and the multiplayer videos are the final video of the day on top of that. But we're shuffling all of the videos so that there's sort of like an even dispersion of them across the week. And some of the videos are longer than normal, so the focus here is to upload fewer, longer videos so that we have a cap of like 3 videos per day, basically. It's like that's the goal. In fact, I probably should change that part on Monday to say podcast, but except that's only when there's a podcast available. But the podcast would probably be in place of multiplayer videos too, I think. And if my backlog of multiplayer videos gets longer, then the videos will probably just get longer so they can still remain as a X number of uploads while still being kept up with, so that they're not getting like out of sync and falling behind or whatever. I think it's relatively easy to read. So we have the same 4 time slots that we currently have: RPG, the AAA classic one, Indie Puzzle, and Patreon. Indie and Puzzle are 4 times a week, and they are still half an hour long. But the AAA and Classic thing is being upgraded to a 1-hour time slot, but it only happens twice a week. So it's the same amount of content per week as the Patreon and Indie ones, but it has fewer uploads per week. So it can slot in there with the RPG ones, and then they kind of fill in the week. And because the math just kind of worked out that way, those two take up, RPGs and AAA take up 6 days a week. So Patreon and Indie end up sharing Saturday. And so it's 2 half-an-hour videos that day, because that's how you keep the math like clear here. Where you got the 2 hours of Indie Puzzle, 2 hours of Patreon, 2 hours of AAA, and then 4 hours of RPG. And once again, the reason why RPG is given extra time is because the whole premise is that's the slot for covering what is on average a very long genre, and so it has a time slot built around that idea. I'm pretty happy with the schedule. I shuffled it around for a while before I got something that I thought was pretty good. That's like these are like the most even distributions of videos per day that I could come up with, or per week that I could come up with. There's inevitably going to be certain gaps and stretches here. There's a 2 and a 3 day gap between AA classics because of the change made there, whereas RPG, Indie Puzzle, and Patreon all have parts of the week where they are uploaded on 2 consecutive days at different parts of the week because you can't really evenly split a 7-day week in half. So that's the whole thing. But basically, it amounts to like a lot of the stuff that you want is uploaded. It's still about the same amount of content per week as far as like video duration. It's pretty similar, but it amounts to like if it's indie and puzzle or Patreon, then it's like every other day, and if it's RPG, then it's like most days, but it's alternating with classic. Honestly, there's no clean way to explain it. It really you just either study the graphic and use it as a reference, or you just like let the content arrive and just sort of go with that. But it was very amusing to hit the point where I was like, I don't know how to organize my recording schedule and keep track of that. I might have to make a custom whiteboard. So I made custom whiteboards, and that was the most elegant solution. I'm gonna have a whiteboard that lets me keep track of what I need to record next. Anyway, that's changes coming to the channel and my life and around everything. Thank you once again for subscribing and hitting the milestone. If you want to support both the Let's Plays and the video essays, which I am very much still working on all the time, then you can go to my Patreon. There will be behind the scenes stuff coming up on the Patreon about the videos made so far. I have some especially dumb content here because of scrapped stuff that was involved in the Annihilation stuff that was just going to ruin the video, but it still exists, so I might as well put it somewhere. But yeah, thanks for watching like always. Look forward to this like year-long celebration, I guess, of like the history of the channel via the Dark Souls and Witness and the finally getting the closure to Zero Time Dilemma. I'm probably not going to play all the Souls games back to back, but more or less like stretched out over the course of an entire year with like an RPG or 2 between each one, because I don't want to completely glut the thing up there, and I also don't want to like get tired of Souls games by playing 5 of them in a row, although I don't even know if that would do it to me, to be honest, but no reason to find out. But yeah, thanks for watching like always. Here's to 10 more years and 100,000 more subscribers. God, I should hopefully grow faster than that from this point on. It's supposed to be exponential. Something has probably gone wrong if 10 years from now I have hit 200,000 subscribers or less. But we'll see. We're all slaves to the algorithm. See you next time.